Hello. Welcome to Shmirchik Crasher's Corner, where you'll experience all the unpleasantness that comes with me. Let's leave it there, right? So, what will we do? Today is July 25. We're gonna go look at the news, right? To see what's going on within Israel and with that throughout the world. Okay? So, wherever you want to come up. I don't know what's wrong with my internet, literally. Right? Either my computer is crashing, or, I don't know, right? Or, the internet's bad. Or it's both, right? Love this baby. Okay. Let me see. Okay, the internet is... Hi, George Alberto Gonzalez. Okay, we're going to go to Honest Reporting and see what they say. Media twist. Okay, let's see what this one's... This is exposed AP photographer in Gaza. What's AP? Taught media courses supervised by Hamas-run information ministry. Right. A staff photographer working for the Associated Press in Gaza has instructed media training courses supervised by Hamas-run information ministry, an honest reporting investigation revealed in 2016 and 2017. So apparently any information that you get from the Associated Press, you're getting it from terrorists, right? Who have done the most atrocious things to humanity, to Jews and to their own people. A staff photographer working for the Associated Press in Gaza has instructed media training courses supervised by the Hamas-run information ministry, an honest reporting investigation revealed. In 2016 and 2017, Adel Hanna shared photos of himself online showing he had taught photography courses run by the media training department at the Ministry of Information in Gaza, which is de facto controlled by Hamas. The revelation that Hanna, an award-winning news photographer who had been on AP's Associated Press's payroll, for over 3 decades, 30 years, has also provided work for a body run by a prescribed terror group, raises alarming questions regarding his journalistic objectivity and AP Associated Press's due diligence. Yeah, so there was also questions on October 7th how are the media, right, all these media stations, how are they able to get the best shots of like the dead bodies, right? For instance, how did Associated Press get pictures of, people being kidnapped? How did the Associated Press get, not the Associated Press, but other media companies like Al Jazeera, how did they get pictures of the naked woman's body being paraded from the Nova Music Festival into Gaza? How did they get such good shots, right? They must have been party to what's happening, and this is a huge scandal on the media corporations, the big companies, right? Because they are partnershiping up with terrorists, right? I think everyone needs to boycott them. Everybody, right? So here it shows, right? I'm just going to make myself smaller. Here it shows, thanks to Allah and His grace, the first courses of the basic photography was opened in the headquarters of the Ministry of Information in Gaza, where about 30 students and graduates of media from all universities in the Gaza Strip participate in the course. It is mentioned that the courses are under the supervision of the Media Training Department in the Ministry of Information in Gaza and the Photographers Journal Committee of the Arab Photographers Union Palestinian branch of Hamas, right? It's really, this is sick. Do you know what sick is? This is sick evil. The post shows pictures of Gazan photography students listening to Hanna as he stands below the official emblem of the Palestinian Ministry of Information, a body that officially under the Palestinian Authority, but in Gaza is de facto run by Hamas. Right? It's disgusting, right? These are all terrorists. Like, everybody likes to think that, like, Islam is so peaceful. Islam, you know, the Palestinians are so nice and kind. But they're Hamas, you know. The information ministry in Gaza is at the forefront of Hamas's media fight. The Facebook page of its government media office contains anti-Semitic propaganda with terms like brutal Nazi-Israeli war on Gaza. A news article from 2010 describes how Ismail Haniyeh, then Hamas prime minister, bestowed public honor on the ministry's government media office after a conflict with Israel. The article's headline reads in Arabic, Haniyeh honors the Ministry of Information and praises its efforts. Okay, so we get... Right? So this shows us that, you know, the Associated Press was involved with terrorism. Hamas is terrorists. They were involved with terrorism. Right? So this is the media that we're dealing with. Okay. What's new, right? Oh my god. Now CBS also has terrorist ties to Hamas. Isn't that something? Hi, Ra'is Sandhu. We're discussing how CBS, the Associated Press, and many other media companies were partnered up with the terrorist group of Hamas, and that's how they got such great photos of the dead Jewish bodies, right? They were literally in on what was going to happen. They knew what was going to happen, so they were all ready to take photos of the Jews being massacred. And that's why CBS has such good photos of Jews being massacred, and Associated Press has such perfect photos of Jews being beheaded in Israel, right? Because they were in on it, right? The terror ties of CBS News journalists in Gaza. A CBS News journalist in Gaza praised terrorists at an official event of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and had contact with terrorists as a member of the Gaza City municipality. Right. So an honest reporting investigation revealed Marwan Al-Ghul has been working as a CBS News producer in Gaza for more than 2 decades, 20 years, and his affiliation with prescribed terror group as well as his official public role in the Hamas-ruled Strip raise alarming questions regarding the network's journalistic standards, right? So I would go as far as to say that CBS is terrorist media, just like Al Jazeera. They're all the same, right? So, right. So this just goes to show evidence how CBS is involved in terrorist activity, and they have their journalists who are part of Hamas give the information that they want, and they get the perfect pictures of Jews being slaughtered, and they know beforehand because they're part of Hamas. So CBS is terrorist media organization, right? This is a celebrated journalist. None of that seemed to bother CBS News, which either turned a blind eye to Al Ghul's activities. Yes, Al Ghul apparently looks like he was doing some bad stuff in Gaza, right? Unbelievable. They're all disgusting. This journalist, right? None of this seems to bother that he was involved in Hamas terror activity, right? The network relied heavily on his work at the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war and praised his journalism, as seen in the following pieces, right?
Marwan Al-Ghul, a CBS News producer who lives in Gaza with his family, has been reporting on this war from the very beginning. Marwan is much loved here at CBS News.
Right,
he's worked with us on and off for more than 2 decades. And when we've travelled to Gaza over the years, he's helped keep us safe.
Marwan, we're so worried about you.
Low lives, you know? He was involved. What was he doing, right? Al Ghul, this guy, right, who we show on the video, Al Ghul also cozied up to the terror group's officials as a member of the Gaza City Municipality Council. Anyone who's involved with Hamas are terrorists. So if he's part of CBS and he's journalist, perfect journalism, getting the best pictures of the dead bodies of Jews and stuff, right? CBS is partner in crime with terrorists. CBS are terrorists. In 2022, a news report showed him smiling next to Gaza City Mayor Yahya Sarraj as they hosted a PFLP delegation to discuss issues of concern to citizens and ways of cooperating. What could possibly be discussed in such a meeting? How to better embed terrorists amid a civilian population? Because we all know that the terrorists, they like to use civilians, like children, men, women, and children, as, like, they like to use men, women, and children as human shields, right? Whatever, so go fuck off, elf. Anyway, so, right. It wouldn't be far-fetched to assume, considering that back in 2022, the IDF revealed that an Islamic Jihad rocket was launched from a location owned by the Gaza City municipality. It misfired and killed 2 Palestinians. And then they blame it on us, right? Yeah. Oh, we're so concerned for you, CBS. You can go fuck yourself, and I hope your media corporation goes to hell. Amen. Amen. Selah. Oh, New Yorker columnist. Israelis are weaponizing October 7th sexual violence and demonizing Hamas. Can you imagine? This is their title. Like, literally on October 7th, Hamas went, raped, and murdered men and women. And gang raped them. Cut off their genital area, their breasts, everything. And we're weaponizing it. They weaponize sexual violence on us as humiliation tactics to humiliate the Jews. But what they don't understand is that in Judaism, right, someone who gets raped is not something to be ashamed about. If someone rapes a woman doesn't have to be ashamed. It's the shame of a man. And, in fact, a lot of the time, in the Bible, what did we do to men who rape women, right? We usually, What did Dinah's brother? Dinah got raped by Shechem, right? What did Dinah's brothers do to Shechem and all the people there? What did they do to Shechem? That raped their sister Dinah, that kidnapped their sister Dinah as well. They went into the city, and they killed all the males, and they took the females prisoners, and the children, and they took their sister back, and Dinah got remarried to somebody, and she was a rape victim, but in Islam, they killed the rape victim, right? So, yeah. So this is like a very sick, evil, the media is evil, you know, to demonize Jews in such a way, and to invert it, which means to say the opposite of what the truth is, which is that Hamas demonized themselves by doing mass rape on Jewish people, men, women, and children. And they've admitted it themselves, right? So, instead of pointing out how evil Hamas is and their atrocities and how they are demonic, oh, we're weaponizing sexual violence to demonize Hamas. They are demons. Like, what kind of mentality is this, right? The 12-word title of Masha Gassen's recent offering in the New Yorker hints at the hatchet job that follows. In what we know about the weaponization of sexual violence on October 7th, it becomes apparent that Gessen is not, as any reasonable person might think, commenting on how Hamas used sexual violence as a weapon of war during its October 7th invasion. Instead, Jew-hater Gessen puts her best effort into supposedly demonstrating how Israel has weaponized Hamas's October 7 atrocities. As if the truth is something bad. Like, the truth is ugly, and if it makes Hamas look bad, it's just the truth. This is who they are, so you have to accept these people are evil, because that's the truth. The truth stands, right? She opens the piece by quoting Nadera Shalhoub Kevorkian, who is apparently, by virtue of being a criminologist and feminist scholar, deemed more qualified than anyone to answer whether rape and gang rapes were part of Hamas's attack. Well, Shalhoub with a name like that, you know what they're going to say. Shalhoub Kevorkian, a professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem School of Social Work and Social Welfare, was suspended from her job in March after comments she made on a podcast with 3 Palestinian-American academics, Karim Sari and Usama Makdishi, were revealed by an Israeli news channel. Honest Reporting writes, why is Magassen, this horrible Jew hater, denying Hamas war crimes in the New Yorker? the rape of Israeli women and girls by Hamas terrorists on October 7 are not just allegations. This is true testimonies. They are well documented with witness testimony. And it's well documented because the terrorists themselves went and admitted to their crimes. Hi, Sergenvaka, how are you? There is evidence if you want to see it. There's plenty of evidence, and scientific evidence is witness testimony. So that is scientific evidence. But we know that Elf doesn't believe in science, so because he's a flat Earth conspiracy theorist. Thank you. I take that as a compliment. 88. Gaussian quote of Shalhub Kevorkian is grossly deceptive. The academic, readers are told, spoke with confidence and care when she put the sexual violence of October 7 into historical context. Rapes, abuses, sexual abuses, gang rapes is always happening in war times, she said. Right, so it's like, it's okay, you know, like, that's supposed to happen. It's like, it's totally fine, you know, so like, you're not supposed to talk about it. It always happened. She had written about this wider history, she said, and she had written, so that makes it okay? No, it doesn't make it okay. It's a war crime, and there's a reason why it's called war crimes, and people who do that type of thing get punished. They're supposed to get punished, at least, right? She had written about the history of Jewish Israeli soldiers back in 1948 using sexual violence against Palestinians, which is a lie. Abuses and sexual abuse happen, she says, and they shouldn't happen. I will never approve of it. Yes, you do approve of it. Not to Israelis, not to Palestinians, not in my name. Fuck you, bitch. Anyway, so she was speaking as a Palestinian. Next, she spoke as a feminist. I don't go and interrogate the rape victims. If a woman says she was raped, I will believe her. I do not need evidence, and I don't want to go check facts. To be honest, this is my opinion. Right, so unless it's Jews, don't believe Jews, right? She believes women by what they say, but Jews you don't believe, right? Because we're Jewish, so you can't believe a Jew. This is anti-Semitism, right? So what is scientific evidence, right? Scientific evidence is witness testimony, lived experience. That is scientific evidence. Documented witness testimony, documented witness evidence that corroborates, right? Corroborated with the terrorists themselves, their testimony on what they did to these people. That is scientific evidence, right? But Elf is a flat earther, so he can go and fuck himself, go to experience an echo chamber. That's what he can do. Even these remarks are grotesque, not least because they inaccurately suggest rape was used as a weapon by Israel during the state's founding in 1948. That's a lie. It never happened. But also because they minimize the horrors of October 7, right? So just like dismiss it, you know, like, oh, that's what happens in war. If it happens in war, it needs to be spoken about. It needs to be condemned. It's not a small matter, right? And specifically Hamas, they used sexual rape as a tactic in their war efforts. This is what they're told to do. And that's why they do it. It's their thing. It's not like, oh, you know, like the Russians go to war with Ukraine and a few of them happen to go and act like pieces of garbage, right? And rape women while they have the power. But, like, this is their tactic. You know, they go, this is what they do, right? October 7 was not wartime. Hamas did not wage war on an army that dark day when it broke the ceasefire with Israel. Terrorists aided and abetted by Palestinian civilians, exactly. And I showed in many of my videos how the Palestinians who were, even the Gazans who had problems, they were disabled. They came and they were on their crutches, but they were so excited to come to Israel and rape and kill. And one guy came in with crutches. He came in through the border, right? And he went on to go and rape people and hit people with sticks, with his stick, to do any damage in the way he can. Like, this is how evil they are. Like, even disabled people will come and do that. So, terrorists aided and abetted by Palestinian civilians broke into people's homes, violating and murdering unarmed men, women, and children, both Israelis and foreign workers. Even Holocaust survivors were killed and raped, and Holocaust survivors were taken into Gaza as hostages. Like, this is what we're dealing with, right? Breaking every commandment in the book, right? But more importantly and more troublingly, this was just one of the many statements Shalhub Kevorkian made on the podcast. She also claimed that Israelis act scared when they walk past her and hear her speaking Arabic on the phone, but added that they should be scared because criminals are always scared. Can you imagine? And she has everything that she wants in Israel. She's given a place in the university. She's given respect. She's got a paid job, everything. And this is what we get as reward. You know? This is why I say you can't trust an Islamic person, because anyone who is Islamic, they are just like their prophet, who will kill you if you're not a believer. And especially if you're a Jew, they will kill you too. So even those who, even those who don't necessarily, believe in, even those who don't necessarily pray 5 times a day, there's always a danger that they will go crazy on you if they consider themselves Islamic, right? So yeah, this gum tastes amazing. Thank you. On Zionism, Shalhub Kevorkian said it's time to abolish the movement of Jewish self-determination. And only by abolishing Zionism can we continue. So according to Shalhub Kevorkian, only by eradicating the state of Israel can Palestinians continue. And on the October 7 massacre, she said, Israelis will use and lie. They will use any lie. They started with babies. They continued with rape. And they will continue with a million other lies. We stopped believing them. I hope the world stops believing them. Alright, so, you see, the problem with these cunt bitches of Hamas, these Islamic pigs who, their own women, right, who, even if they're not even necessarily so religious, right, they have the freedoms in Israel, but they have this embedded Jew hatred. And these people, like they themselves will go and make up stories about Jews, and they will do defamation. And for instance, right, like there were people who, there was a reporter who went and decided that, oh, I'm going to go and look for sexual violence that the IDF do to Arabic women. So she went and looked and looked and looked and looked, and she couldn't find one case of an IDF soldier raping an Arab woman. One case. And you know what she said? She said, oh, the reason why we can't find cases of the IDF raping a Palestinian woman is because they're snobs. They hate Arabs, and it's because they won't touch an Arab woman. They don't look at Arab women like they're human. That's what she said. She did it. She twisted it around. Can you imagine? Wow, yeah. Elf wants me to do live chat so I can see all the Jew hatred. Right? Gessen casts her own doubt on whether there's evidence of widespread systematic and particularly brutal sexual violence, noting in a later paragraph that most of the women who had been subjected to sexual violence on October 7 were dead. There are witnesses that saw those people getting murdered and brutalized, and, and the bodies are evidence as well. There's, like, forensics on it. So, like, this bitch, she needs to be put in Uganda, right? They weren't coming forth with evidence. She claims it is the Israeli government that is amplifying the sexual violence narrative. It's not a narrative, it's the truth. And the truth is ugly. And if the truth makes Hamas look bad, that's the truth, because they are bad. And you should understand that they're bad. And you should think that they're bad according to their behavior, right? And if you don't think their behavior is bad, then there's something wrong with you in the head. And you need to be watched, right? People make me so angry, I tell ya. People make me so angry. What kind of nonsense, Elf? I live in Israel. Nobody has sex slaves like Islamists have in Saudi Arabia. So stop making up stories, Elf, I know you have fantasies in your head, and you saw Jesus too, but, or was it Randy that saw Jesus? There's something deeply ironic in Gessen's argument that Israel has politicized sexual violence. So, like, imagine, like, the Jew hatred you have to have in order to say that we're politicizing sexual violence, when the truth stands. It's not political. People dying, people being murdered, people being slaughtered because of who they are, it's not political. This is human rights violations. This is terror. This is murder. This is demonic evil, right? She uses the death of Israeli women and girls, whose testimonies of the horrors they endured cannot be heard, to criticize the Israeli government. To bolster her argument, Gessen picks at a February report by the Association of Rape Crisis Center of Israel, which laid bare the horrific extent to which Hamas brutalized Israeli women. She states that the report relied on media articles, television stories, and confidential information that had come through member organizations of the Association of Rape Crisis Centers. The report's weakness, she concludes, is that much of the evidence was third and fourth hand, as in the case of media accounts that quoted other media accounts that quoted people who said they had witnessed attacks. Firstly, it's been documented, right? So the doctors that have spoken with these people, they've documented it, right? But there's something that Jewish people have, which is called respect and integrity and dignity and respect for someone's privacy, which is why you don't see it firsthand, right? You won't hear people come unless they want to come forward themselves and speak about it. And it's a very vulnerable thing to talk about, you know, when somebody does something to you, right? And a lot of it is just, they have to relive it, and it's just so horrific, right? So to protect the vulnerability of these people who have PTSD right now, you know, they protect the privacy by not exposing their faces, right? Even though it's been documented by doctors, right? And it's been corroborated. So for her to say such things, she's evil. But I'm not surprised, because in Islam, right? In Islam, Elf, you don't know what you're talking about, but it's okay. You're not very smart. You're just a loser sitting unmarried, never had kids, you're an incel, you have nothing going for you, and you don't have a job either. You don't understand currency, and you even offered to impregnate me the other day, so, because you have no one else to impregnate, and you hate Jews so much, but that's all you can say. So, it's so funny, and then you asked me to make you my, you asked me to make you my, like, Sarganavaka is my, the person I put for the moderator. Sorry, I just can't think. Sometimes it's just too overwhelming. However, Gessen immediately contradicts herself, noting that Hila Tov, a prominent multimedia journalist and activist, conducted the research for the report. That Tov said that most of the evidence in the end came from dead bodies, or rather from the recollections and interpretations of volunteers who had gathered the bodies, and they did forensics, right? So those people that are dead, they spoke through the evidence of their leftover charred remains and through the forensic evidence, right? So she's one sick bitch, but I'm not surprised, because Islam, they are a very violent religion in themselves, so they don't see any problem with brutalizing women, because according to Islam, they can burn the entire woman's body, just not her face. They can punch her all over her body, just not her face, right? This is the treatment of women, right? And if a woman gets raped, she gets killed, right? This is their culture. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that someone like her can be so, you know, sick in the head. Because Islam breeds sick people, right? However, Gessen immediately contradicts herself, right? Yes, and the volunteers who collected the bodies, they spoke about it, right? The report was based on evidence collected from the scene, testimonies from those who collected bodies, and from doctors who interviewed survivors. Exactly. This is what I just said. The only possible sources of evidence. As a side note, Gessen ignores another piece of compelling evidence that further proves the events of October 7, which is the interrogation video of Hamas terrorists and Gazan civilians, in which they admit to raping Israeli women and girls. It's a very common tactic in Islam to do such things when they go to war. This is their thing, but Hamas in particular, this is their way, you know? Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the massacre in Iraq before the Jews were kicked out, right? I don't know if you heard the massacre is called the, how can I forget, right? I did videos on this. And people who survived, and they saw their family being brutalized and raped, and one guy went and sliced off the woman's breast and was playing with it, you know? Like, this is what they do. And this is what they did on October 7 as well, right? They repeat the same type of brutality. So, Gesson also invites skepticism about the findings of the investigation by Pramila Patten, the United Nations Secretary General's special representative on sexual violence in the conflict, released in March. In addition to the challenges that are typical of any attempt to document sexual violence, Gesson argues that Israel and October 7 are unique because the victims' bodies were gathered by volunteers untrained in forensics, who prioritize a speedy burial as per the Jewish tradition of interring the dead within 24 hours. Yeah, so anything to delegitimize the findings, right? We are the best in the world at everything, right? Israel is the best in the world at forensics, the best in the world in technology. And this is their attitude, right? She adds that nonetheless, the report concluded there are grounds to believe that a number of instances of rape and gang rape took place, right? And including the survivors who spoke about it, right? If you go look on Rebecca Barseff's channel, she speaks about how rape is used to humiliate the enemy, right? This is Islam. They do it to humiliate the enemy. One guy was raped, and he speaks about how they were circling him like animals. You know, like they were circling him like hyenas while they raped him, each one. You know, they touched his private parts. They did terrible things to him. And he speaks about how the after effect, he has to take showers 20 times a day in order to feel clean, right? So, yeah. Another report that documented October 7 sexual violence by the New York Times in March is branded controversial by Gesson. Right, so this lady, I don't understand why Israel doesn't take away her citizenship and put her in the Congo. Because obviously, she's not happy to live here. So we should just take her and put her in the Congo, right? Yeah, whatever, Elf. That's why you're not a moderator, because you're a fucking liar. And you're a Jew hater. So, yeah, go fuck yourself, Elf. Don't come back on my channel. You don't deserve to be here. Anyway, this account, she asserts, included the sweeping claim that Hamas commanders had ordered their subordinates to use rape as a weapon of war. Exactly, like I said before. See, she suggests this raised the bar for any researcher who tried to document the crimes, changing the question from did it happen to was it systematic. These people are just evil. You know, it's like those people that are like Elf and Adam, right? He stole someone else's name. This Adam Christoph, who comes on my channel and says things like, the Holocaust never happened. It was a Holocaust. Jews didn't die in the Holocaust. Nobody died. Right? And Nazi Hitler was a good man. Right? This is the type of people they are. Denying atrocities. Gesson cynically suggests that all subsequent reports about October 7, those she deemed better researched and more comprehensive, have been met with disappointment by those who were expecting evidence of systematic crimes. Ultimately, we see why Gesson is so determined to undermine the overwhelming evidence of October 7. She believes Israeli authorities have strategic reasons for claiming that sexual violence was systematic, which it was. One reason, she contends, is that Israel is trying to highlight that however inhumane the Israeli ways of waging war are, the message is Hamas's are even worse. That's not the truth. That is not the truth. We are in defense. We are on an offensive war. We have to offend them by defending ourselves. We are offending them by defending ourselves. That's the type of war we're fighting. And it's like as if they think that actions have no consequences. What, you think you can enter people's homes and brutalize them and there'll be no consequences? Like, Iran thinks they can just like send in drones and kill Jews in Israel and non-Jews, and there will be no consequences, right? Like, you're not a child. Grow up. There's consequences for actions, right? There's something wrong here. She describes this as a campaign. Okay, I don't want to hear about this lady anymore. She should go and something bad happened to her. I don't know why Israel lets her. She just lost her job, but I don't understand. Why don't they just like... Why don't they put her in the Congo? Why is she here? Right? Media twist. Israeli retaliation strike on Houthi targets. Call it an attack. Right. Oh my god. Empowering encampments. New York NYT article. Sugarcoats campus anti-Semitism. Right. What's new? Right? It's like, you know, Adam, right? He comes to my channel and he says things like, oh, the Israelis were going into the Palestinian homes and wrecking it, blah, 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 blah. What did the Muslims do to deserve that, right? Think. What did they do? Why would anybody go and mess with anybody in their homes? It's not the Jewish way, right? But in Israel, if you don't show the Muslims that you're strong, they will kill you, and they will kill your entire family, and they will slit your throat in your sleep. That's what they'll do. And they'll send their children to do that. And as I've shown you in my other video, right, there's a moshav in Israel that gets shot at by the next village over, right? The next village over, run by Muslims, right, that live nearby. Every day they just, they take guns, I don't know where they get guns from, and they shoot. I'm always in a bad mood when Elf is here. Yeah, he has some sort of demonic energy. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so they shoot at the Jewish houses, and the Jews, they have to rely on the IDF, but the IDF doesn't do anything to protect them. So lots of the time, what the Jewish families will do is they will go to the village and they will make a mess. They don't usually kill anybody, but they will go and they'll burn their houses down. And it sends a message, and they'll do graffiti, and they'll terrorize them a little bit and say, this is what happens if you fuck with us. And then Elf comes like a little bitch. He comes back here and says, oh, I saw Jews looting a house from Palestinians, and they said if we not take it, someone else will take it. So much respect for privacy. Right. He comes on like a little bitch and talks like, I saw this, I saw that. Not realizing that, dude, if you don't fuck them up, they will slit your throat in your sleep, and they'll kill your entire family, and your entire village, and your dog, and your cat, and your birds, and your hamsters. That's what they'll do, right? And that's why you see settler violence. Do you know there's one place in Israel, in the West Bank here in Samaria, where the Muslims don't mess? Because in the beginning, when the people went to live there, the Jewish people, they weren't afraid to make accidents happen to the Muslims who came and tried to kill them. So they would by accident shoot them in the head. By accident, The Muslim would come into their village and try to, with a knife, and try to, kill Jews. And accidentally, the Jews would defend themselves accidentally and finish them off. And then they would land up in Israeli jails because, oh, how dare they defend themselves. And as we know, the Israeli government loves Arabs more than they love Jews. But enough Jews were not afraid from that place to defend their cities by using violence. And now, 40 years later, the Muslims, they don't mess with this village. Because they know these people are badass and they will shoot to kill. They won't shoot to maim. They will shoot to kill, right? And that's the only way you can deal with terrorism. That's the only way. Okay? Continuing on. Did you see what Russia did? Did you see what Russia did to the terrorists? Remember the terrorists shot up Moscow? Did you see what the Russians did? Yeah. That's the way you need to deal with terrorists. A common front against occupation, CNN, fooled by Hamas-Fatah reconciliation stunt. Two events took place in the last few days that relate to post-war Gaza governance. One was that China said it had brokered a deal. Oh, let's see this. This is what I was wondering about China. What does China have to do with this? You know what I'm saying? Okay, two events took place in the last few days that relate to post-war Gaza governance. One was that China said it had brokered a deal between Hamas and Fatah in what was described as well, let me see where to say. Okay, so it was described as a declaration to form an interim national reconciliation government from the West Bank and Gaza after the war. The announcement of the declaration came following several days of talking in Beijing and was presented to the media by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, Fatah Representative Mahmoud al-Alul, and Hamas Representative Musa Abu Marzouk. Although described as a unity agreement, there have been numerous failed attempts at reconciliation between the rival Hamas won in 2006 Palestinian elections. After those elections, last time Palestinians held elections, the factions fought a bloody internecine war resulting in Hamas expelling Fatah from Gaza, right? So, you see, the only thing that unites these people is their hatred for Jews. And that's a fact, right? Because they kill each other. Not only can't the governments not get along, but the families can't get along either. They kill each other. Like there's no tomorrow, you know? That's how they work. What's with this? Why can't I? How come I can't see? Right. So, they can't get along with each other. They have family feuds. How do I know this? Because I spoke about this in my other videos. I used to go on a bus to a Jewish town near the Arab town of Nablus, and the bus driver was Muslim, of course, because most of the bus drivers are Islamic. So, hold on. Hey Zish, I'm live.
Oh, hello.
What's doing? Should I, where are you?
I'm in a coffee shop.
What?
I'm in a coffee shop.
Oh, very nice. I guess I'll just end the live so we can, anyway, let me end this. Yeah, I guess I'm done trashing Islamists, right? Okay guys, it's been real. I have important things to talk about with other people, so we'll talk next time. Bye. Thanks for being here, Cyrus.